how we will determine their ranks is basically done by seeing how many wrong submissions they have and how much less time they took to solve those problems. So this is the sport aspect of competitive programming. So to introduce competitive programming again, you will be given abstract problems. Like एक एग्जांपल से बताता हूँ, आपके पास n कैंडीज है, मतलब n इक्वल टू 10 कैंडीज है, तो आपको ये दो पीपल में डिवाइड करना है. You have to divide it in two people. So आपको ऐसा एक रैंडम n दिया होगा and you have to tell if it is possible to divide it in two people. तो ये कैसे कर सकते हैं? So either we will check that if the n is odd or even. If n is even, we can divide it in two people. If n is odd, we can't divide it in two people. So here we weren't given the exact problem, like we have to find if a number is odd or even. We were given some abstract problem, like we have to divide candies into two, distribute the candies into two people, and then we strip down the problem to finding if the number is odd or even. So ऐसे abstract problems दिए रहेंगे, तो उसमें पहले तो problem solving का aspect रहता है कि given problem को आपको एक known चीज में break down करना है. जैसे इधर हम लोग ने even odd में break down किया था, और फिर we will use code to solve that problem. तो इधर हम लोग को check करना है number even है या odd है. So there is in most programming languages there is a thing called modulo, which tells us the remainder after division. So so what we can do is n modulo 2, and we'll check if it is 0 or 1. If it is 0, the number is even, else the number is odd. So ये थोड़ा easy problem था, means just to tell you how it is. तो ऐसे difficult problems ही रहता है. तो इसमें आप लोग ने डेटा स्ट्रक्चर एल्गोरिथम सुना है? तो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर एल्गोरिथम्स बेसिक बताता हूँ मैं क्या है. सो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स आर set defined structures, some structures which are already defined and already implemented by someone in code, which handles, which stores your data and provide different functionality to interact with that data. और algorithms set rules है जिससे तुम कुछ outcome निकाल सकते हो. तो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर एल्गोरिथम्स का यूज होता है कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग में. When you strip down the problem to something, then you will use data structures and algorithms to solve them. So competitive programming में और एक aspect रहता है, you will be given some inputs. Like I said, there is n equal to 10 candies. So your program will accept n here as an input, and then it will give some output. So जो input रहता है, your program needs to handle if the input scales. Like if n goes to 10 raised to 5, your code needs to handle it. In competitive programming, there are many approaches to solve a problem. Like मैंने आपको कहा 1 to n तक का सम निकालना है मुझे. Like 1 to 10 तक का सम, तो कैसे निकालोगे? कोई तो एक बोलो. You have to calculate sum from 1 to 10. Yes. Yes, that is one of the approach. Any other approach? Yes. Yes. So there is a formula for calculating sum till n for natural numbers. It is n into n plus 1 by 2. So अगर मैंने कहा कि n की वैल्यू है 10 raised to 9, ऐसा मैंने कहा, तो if we write a for loop, it will take a lot of time to execute the code. 10 raised to 9 के लिए approx C++ में 5 seconds लगेंगे कोड को execute होने को, 5 to 4 seconds. But if we write the answer as n into n plus 1 by 2, it will compile in milliseconds, execute in milliseconds. So there is that factor. Each code we can evaluate in two things, like what is its time complexity, what is its space complexity. So time complexity is how much time it will take to execute the code. तो ये optimize करना क्यों important है? Like when you visit some website, if the website takes a lot of time to load, your user experience will be bad. तो वहाँ पर तुम्हें time जो भी रहता है कोड का, एक abstract example है, तो वो कोड का टाइम कम रहना चाहिए, फिर यूजर एक्सपीरियंस ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा. और फिर एक रहता है स्पेस कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी. तो आपके जब कोड लिखते हो उसमें वेरिएबल्स नाम सुना होगा आपने कोड में, तो वेरिएबल्स में कुछ डेटा स्टोर होता है, राइट? तो वो डेटा कोड उसके वो डेटा की वजह से कोड थोड़ी मेमोरी लेता है, और वो मेमोरी जब तक कोड रन हो रहा है तब तक वो ऑक्यूपाइड रहती है सिस्टम में. तो इफ यू राइट अ प्रोग्राम व्हिच टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ मेमोरी, सो आर रिसोर्सेज ऑफ द सीपीयू आर being used by the code which can be optimized. So there is space complexity and time complexity. So we'll see how one of the competitive programming questions look like. Basic कैसे रहता है. So I guess पिछले वालों को इतना दिख नहीं रहा होगा, but you don't have to read it. मैं बताता हूँ क्या होता है. Like starting में you will be given time limit per second. So what it tells that what the code you are writing should execute in 1 second, and then there is a memory limit, how much memory your code can occupy. Then every problem has some problem statement. तो उसमें mostly competitive programming में एक story दी होगी तुम लोग को कि directly you will not be given कि you have to find the maximum element in the list, ऐसा कुछ. You will be not be given that directly, but you will have to deduce it by reading the problem statement, which will be something abstract, some situation which will be given. So ये problem statement के पढ़ने के बाद एक input वाला section रहता है, which will tell you how the input your program should accept, like what input your program should accept. So here we can see there is a t which we have to accept and n we have to accept, and they also give us how big this n and t can be. So here it is given t is at most 100, n is at most 100. So reading this we can formulate a solution which will execute in 1 second, because that is our time limit. So reading this input is important because it gives us idea what we can do and what we cannot. So suppose if here n was 10 raised to 9, it won't execute in if we use a for loop for n. For loop पढ़ा है आपने? So what for loop does is it iterates on everything. So we give a range to for loop and it iterates on the range. So for 1 to 10 it will iterate from 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is till 10. So that is for loop. So we can't use for loop if we are given that n is 10 raised to 9. So we have to think of some optimal approach more. So this is how input helps us to think if our current solution is appropriate or not and will be accepted or not. Then for each input we'll print the output of that for that input. So the output should match the what is expected output. So there are test cases in competitive programming. Each program will have a test case. So what will they do is give a set of inputs to you, and after running the program, the output of that input should match the output of your code. So here we can see when we submit a question, what the online judge will do is it will run your code against the set of inputs it already has, and it already has the appropriate output for that inputs, and it will compare what output your program is giving with the correct output, and if it matches, you will get this accepted verdict. And if it doesn't, so there is also, you can see there is wrong answer on test 2. So what happened here is the test 2 failed, so some output wouldn't be matching with the original output. There are also verdicts like time limit exceeded. You can see here, time limit exceeded on test 13. So what happened here is your code took more time than than the time limit which was set. So for example, पिछले क्वेश्चन में बोला था 1 सेकेंड में एग्जीक्यूट होना चाहिए, तो the code which got executed, you can see here the time which the code took to execute, 46 milliseconds, and this took 2 milliseconds, approx 2 seconds. So 2 seconds didn't fit in the time limit, and it got the verdict time limit exceeded on test 13. There are also memory limit exceeded, which are quite rare because it very rarely we use much memory. I would suggest, if anyone has any doubt while I am talking about something like अभी input output का बोल रहा हूँ, तो उसमें कुछ doubt हो तो you can directly raise hands, because later on it will be difficult to answer those doubts. So after input output, you submit it, and there is an online judge which will run your code and compare the output. So this is basically a typical competitive programming problem and how it is given in most of the platforms. So we'll talk about the competitive aspect here, like competitive क्या है इसमें. So like I told, there are contests. So based on the performance on your contest, like how many problems you solved, how faster you solved those problems, you will be given a rank. You will be ranked among the contestants, and based on your rank, there is also rating. So chess में rating देखा है आपने? There is ELO rating in chess. So there is rating in competitive programming also, and based on your rank, the rating will increase or decrease. If you perform better than what was expected for a rating, then your rating will increase. And if you perform worse than what was expected for your rating, then your rating will decrease. So there is this aspect of competitive programming. And in competitive programming, if I say if someone is better, there is a clear metric to judge that. It is their rating. So that reflects how much competitive programming they know, how good they are in that. So this is a contest screenshot, and you can see that I have attempted 4 questions here. So this was a good contest, and my rating increased by 80 because I performed better. So that is the competitive aspect. Here I have friends standing, so I can see how my friends performed, and we can discuss it later. So if my friend solved a problem which I didn't solve, then I can discuss with him. So this is one of the aspects of competitive programming. So here you can see this is a rating graph. And after each contest, if the contest was good, the rating increases or the rating decreases. So rating is important for someone who does competitive programming with giving it all their time. So they keep rating very close, and it is very important for them that the rating is good. So next. So why should you do competitive programming? So first of all, why did I start? I will start from there. जब मैं first year में आया था तो there was a session similar like this, not similar, it was in lab, and we were told to solve some problems. But there I got to know some seniors, and they told about competitive programming, and they said that it was really helpful for placements and tests. So mainly I started because of placements. Like now I'm in college, I should put some efforts in preparing for placements and tests. So I tried it based on their recommendation, and after solving those 50 to 60 first problems, I really started enjoying it. तो मैंने जब वो देखा कि मेरे से questions हो रहे हैं and I was enjoying it, then I continued it further. That's how my journey started. So competing in contest and giving contests is very fun in competitive programming. The initial days you will feel like I don't know anything and you will perform bad, but after 2 to 3 contests, 4 to 5 contests, you will get the hang of it and you will start enjoying it. So for me, the first 4 or 5 contests I gave on code forces, I couldn't solve a single question, but I was determined enough, so I continued, and later when I got the hang of it, I could solve many problems. Next, it is helpful for resume building and preparation of coding tests. So whenever a company wants to hire someone, they have a lot of applications and it is hard to shortlist. Like how will you shortlist a large pool of candidates? So what they do is, first they will shortlist based on your resume. So what I said is, resume may be, how will they know if the candidate is genuine and is good candidate and they should approach him for interview. So like I said, competitive programming में clear metric रहता है judge करने का. That is your ratings, your titles. तो code forces में ratings में titles भी रहते हैं कि starting का title newbie रहेगा. Like in Valorant, you must have titles, ranks and stuff. So newbie, pupil, specialist, expert. There are candidate master. So there are titles also there. So this is a clear metric to judge someone on their skills. Like they know how to solve problems and they can write code well, because if you can't implement your logic, you won't be able to solve the problem, right? So that tells companies about that. And why competitive programming? Because in other fields there is no clear metric. Like if you are good at web development, how can you say that you are better in it? You can show your projects, but nowadays projects, there is no way to know that that project is done by you or it is implemented by AI or taken by someone. So there is no clear metric to judge. There are some metrics like open source contributions, and if the project is good enough, you know it well. It is also another thing you can do for resume building. Build good projects, try to contribute on open source if possible. But for competitive programming, it's easy that if your rating is good, you can put it on resume and the companies will know. Other thing why companies look for competitive programmers is because it's not easy to get that rating quickly. Like you have to put in a lot of efforts, and it shows that the candidate which they are looking for has put his time into something and developed a daily solved some questions and has consistency. So if given a task, they will be able to do it, kind of like that. There are also contests like ICPC. So I mentioned that I represented college in ICPC Regionals 2023. So what is ICPC is, it is like Olympiad for competitive programming. Like all big colleges, all colleges from India, IITs, NITs, triple ITs, and colleges like ours compete in it. And there is a contest, 5-hour contest, from which they select like top 20, top 25 to represent India in world finals. So it is very prestigious, and it shows that you are a good problem solver. You can solve DSA questions, competitive programming questions will. So for me, like I said, मैंने जर्नी स्टार्ट किया था कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग का, looking for preparation for placements and tests. But after that, when I started later, when I continued it, I got to know that it is not that important. Like आपको ऐसा नहीं है कि कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग करना ही है जॉब के लिए या सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, अच्छा सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर बनने के लिए. आप देख सकते हो बहुत सारे सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स हैं जिन्होंने कभी कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग किया नहीं होगा. Then still I continued because I had a goal to participate in ICPC. So I took that as a goal and prepared for it. There is, so I'll give some brief ICPC, like how is the contest held. You can also register it this year. It's currently the registration is open. So first there is a preliminary round. It is a contest for 3 people. So you will make a group of 3 people, and there is a preliminary round. You will be given 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you have to solve you will be given 5 to 6 questions, and based on it, some people from your college, like those who performed well, will be selected for regionals. So regionals is an on-site contest, and for on-site you have to go there. Like when I participated, I qualified for Chennai and Kanpur regionals. So I went there to give the contest. So what happened here is there were teams from IITs, NITs, triple ITs. We got to interact with them, and then we gave the contest, 5-hour contest. So what happened there was, our culture at IITs and NITs is very good. And they have really good problem solving skills from before, because they have prepared well for JEE. That's why they are in IITs, right? So उन लोग का problem solving skills बहुत अच्छा रहता पहले से, and they perform very well at that. So that I got to know about that. Like it is difficult to perform well in regionals because their competition is very good, but it is not impossible if you start doing it from right now and preparing it well. So मैंने जो main problem face किया था is there were no good teammates for me. तो team event है, पर अगर मैं ही अच्छा हूँ sport में, competitive programming में, then it is difficult for the team to perform well. So that is one of the difficulties I faced. So that's why this session is being taken to give you guys awareness, so you can prepare if you want, and you will have peers with which you can participate with and perform well in the regionals part, go to world finals maybe. Then there is regular contest. So what happens when you give contest regularly? So in competitive programming, the questions we have, they are never repeated. You will get new questions every time. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपके पास 10-15 क्वेश्चन है, आपने वो पढ़ लिए और फिर आप क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर सकते हो. You will be given new questions, and like if you have any doubt or if you want to ask someone, it will be easier because both of you have done in C++. But if you ask someone about some Python code, then there is a chance they might not know, because not everyone knows the deep data structures in every language. So I would recommend, if you want to learn a language for competitive programming, master C++. You don't have to go really deep into it. What you want to know is basic programming constructs, like what is variables, for loop, and then functions. And there is also a library in C++ called STL. That is really important because it provides inbuilt data structures which we can use. The next is, you must know some mathematics, basic mathematics. Like I asked earlier, what is the sum from 1 to n? So you should have known that there is a formula for that, n into n plus 1 by 2. So some basic number theory, probability, you should know. and there is not. What I would suggest for mathematics is just solve the competitive programming questions and you will get to know the ideas. There is nothing extra you can do. You can do it, but it's not necessary. Then next is online judges. So what are online judges? It is online judges are a platform which have competitive programming questions in it, which you can solve and submit. So like throughout the PPT, I have shown screenshots of code forces. It is one of the online judge where you can solve problems. There is Code Chef, Add Coder, Lead Code. You can explore these online judges. I would recommend doing code forces. That's what I did in my first year. I will recommend doing code forces. I will tell what I did exactly later. Next is data structure algorithms. So one of the misconceptions is that you must know data structures before you start competitive programming, and you must. So what people do is when they get into first, second year, they will start by learning data structure and algorithms. Take some course on data structure algorithm, or you watch some YouTube playlist. But that only gives you knowledge, like what data structures are available and how we can use them. But it doesn't tell you where to apply it. And whenever they are given, such people who have only practiced data structures are given competitive programming questions which involve problem solving at a higher level, then they struggle in that. So, and for solving competitive programming, you don't need to know data structures, because whenever you are given a contest, so the contest has problems ranging in difficulty. It will start from easy, then next easy, then a bit difficult, then bit difficult. So for solving the easier questions in a contest, you don't need to know any data structures and algorithms. It will be involving really easy logical thing or mathematical thing, and you have to just code it up. So for that, you don't need data structures. And when you are approaching harder questions, what happens is there is the logical part also, and after solving the logical part, you will have to implement using data structures or algorithms. So at that time, you will get to know what data structure you need to learn. So main thing is competitive programming में learning कैसा होता है? You will solve a problem. If you are able to solve it, then it is good. And if you are not able to solve it, what you will do is look at solution and look if you could not solve it because there was some topic you don't know in data structure or algorithm. And then you go and learn that topic in data structure algorithm, solve 1-2 questions in it, and then come back to the problem which you couldn't solve. So mainly learning happens in this way. What is good about this approach is you are not learning unnecessary things currently. Like there is topic in data structure algorithms like graph DB. You don't need to learn it right away, because it is very rare that you will encounter it when solving a contest. If you are not able to solve easier problems, then it's very obvious that you won't be able to solve problems on graph and DB. So that's why you need, when you approach it like that, when given a problem, see what topic it is on, and if you don't know, then learn the topic. That gives you a list of topics which you should know at your level. So there is no need to know data structures and algorithms before starting competitive program. So how you can start, and this is how I started too. So go on some online judge, Code Forces or Code Chef. You can sort the problems from easy level, and then start solve those problems. Get to know basic competitive programming, things like how online judges work, how to submit problem, how inputs and output are affected. And after you know this, you can start attempting contests. And when you attempt a contest, you will be able to solve, suppose 2 questions, then you weren't able to solve third. You tried to solve it, but you weren't able to. So what you have to do is, after the contest ends, you have to upsolve that question. Upsolving means after the contest you will solve the questions which you weren't able to solve. So what it does is, it mainly tells you what you didn't know, because you weren't able to solve it in contest. So there was something lacking, and you will able to learn that. If you didn't upsolve, what you are doing is, you know something, and till that from that knowledge only you are attempting contest. You are not learning new things if you didn't upsolve. So what upsolving does is, it makes you learn new things, and it is really important in competitive programming, and it is one of the best ways to improve. Upsolving in contest, attempting as much contest as you can, and upsolving from them. So when I say you have to solve the questions which you weren't able to solve, that doesn't mean that you have to solve all the questions in the contest, because some are out of your difficulty level. You have to solve those questions which are just solvable from you, like just one difficulty above. So if you attempt a question which is too hard, there is no point, because you won't learn anything, and and you will be disappointed after trying a lot. So when you have to practice how to choose problems is, you can start with the easiest. So how you can do that is, so here is code forces, and you can see problem set tab I have opened. So this is problem set tab, and what I did is, I set the difficulty range. So easiest difficulty range is 800 in code forces. So I have set difficulty 800 to 1000, and then you can start attempting problems from here. So what difficulty range to choose depends on your rating currently. So if you are starting from scratch, then the base rating level plus 100. So if the base rating level is X, so you can solve problems from X to X plus 100 or X plus 200. And generally what we do is, we solve the problems, if your rating level is X currently, we solve the problems from X minus 200 to X plus 200. So what it does is, makes you comfortable in the part, comes as a muscle memory to it. If I were to be told to implement some data structure, some algorithm, it wouldn't be the bigger concern. It would be how the problem will be using the algorithms. So that is that you shouldn't mostly solve topic wise, because it tells you the topic already about the problem, and it solves most of the problem for you. If you know the topic, it's easier to solve the problem. So that's why I recommend solving the problems in random order. Like when I showed the code forces, I just sorted it based on the rating range, not based on the topics. When to solve questions based on topic is, when you come across a new topic, like I want to learn about DP now, dynamic programming or graphs. Then I'll take some topic wise questions and solve it. So I get to know what kind of questions are there in dynamic programming, and what are the concepts in dynamic programming. So that is when you solve topic wise. So here are some other platforms you can prefer for problem solving. So there is Codeforces. I would recommend Codeforces because it is a global platform. Like people from all over the world participate on it. So the quality of questions is better in Codeforces than then there is CodeChef. CodeChef is for mostly set by the Indian authors. So the problems are set by Indian authors, and most of the people competing in CodeChef rounds are Indians. And then there is AdCoder. AdCoder is also a platform. So So for rating range wise questions, there is also this sheet, PLECP 31 sheet. So what it does, it redirects you to code forces, but they have handpicked some problems which are good for that rating range. So now you guys will start. You will start from 800 rating range. So you can also solve questions from TLECP 31 sheet. Or you can do is what I showed in problem set code forces. You can sort the problems based on rating range. And for topic wise problems, you can solve CSCS problem set. So CSCS problem set is really good. It has standard problems which will be directly applied to your code forces rounds. So you get to learn a lot about topics when you solve CSS problems. Which contest to attempt? So how to attempt a contest and when to attempt? So when you have solved 30 to 50 questions, you know a bit about competitive programming, how we submit on an online judge, and basic questions you have solved. After that, you can start attempting contests. So I would recommend starting with CodeChef contests because they are easy. The CodeChef contests are named starters, and they are on Wednesday at 8 p.m. mostly. So you can attempt this contest after you have solved 30 to 50 questions. And then there are code forces rounds of Div 3 and Div 4. Div 3, Div 4 basically tells which rating range can attempt this contest. So these are contests on the easier side. Why I tell you to attempt easier contest at start is that you don't get demotivated and you can get started with competitive programming. After that, you can attempt Div 2 contest as well. Div 1 contest, I haven't also attempted Div 1 because uh, I wasn't in the rating range. It is for 1900 plus, 2100 plus. So 2100 plus in code forces is master level, and that is, if talking about in India, there will be 100 masters, 90 masters active in India, much less too. So it is a very high level which requires a lot of problem solving to get that. There is also add code a beginner contest which are very beginner friendly and you can attempt that too. Lead code contests are also good and currently they have increased their level so you can attempt them too. So some best practices to keep in mind when doing competitive programming is, one, you should have some community so you can discuss problems and it doesn't feel that you don't have anyone to discuss, and uh, it keeps you engaged if you have a community circle of friends who attempt competitive programming with you. So this, if you currently don't have, the MLSC will also make a tech room group. You can join there, share what problem you solved or what difficulty you faced in problem. Someone might solve that out. Next is have consistency. So if if I tell you that I interned in Google, you might think that I had to dedicate a lot of time in coding. That's why I interned in Google. But it is not more about the time I give in every day. It is how consistently I solved the problem. So it wasn't like I was solving 6 to 7 hours daily or 4 to 5 hours daily. I was solving 3 to 4, maximum 4 hours, 2 to 3 hours daily. But I was consistently solving problems, consistently giving contests. What happens when someone start competitive programming is they started and okay, they can attempt some questions, but then they get stuck in some questions, contest performance is bad, they get demotivated and they leave it. But what you have to do at that time is continue solving, because the the more problems you solve, the better you train your mind to solve, to approach new problems, and the better you get to know about all the concepts, all the logic there are in competitive programming. So build up a consistency. I can show you my heat map when I was in second semester. So I started doing competitive programming when I was in second semester. So here you can see Feb. Feb is so second semester starts in January. So I started doing in Feb. And what this shows is, if it is light green, I submitted one question that day. If it is a darker shade of green, I submitted more questions that day. So this shows the consistency with which I solved. So you can see till now I have solved like 1400 questions. This is a bit too much, and most probably you won't need to solve these many questions. But I liked it very much, and I consistently solved it. That's why I could build up this consistency and problem solving. It's not like that कि मुझे पहले से आता था. I was smart enough to do it. I just consistently solved problems, and it built up my knowledge to solve harder problems and tackle interviews, coding tests. So that's how you improve solving consistently. The thing which is bad is you are competing always. You don't have to be super competitive, like you won't help a friend. If you have some good resource, you can share with your friend, and you can always discuss with your friends. It is better than being super competitive and not telling anything to your friend or someone who asks for help. So competing always is not good. So one thing nowadays is cheating in contest. So what happens is the solution for contest get leaked, and what people do is submit those solutions directly. So why this is bad is, first of all, most of the cheating in contest gets caught. Like if you give a Photoshop contest, if you see a graph goes like this with a triangle at the bottom, that means they have cheated in that contest, and it mostly gets caught because they run plagiarism checkers, which checks the similarity in code. So there is no point if you are doing it for increasing your rating, they will catch you and your rating will fall down. So no point in that. Another is you don't learn anything. Main thing in giving contest is you learn and you practice so that when there is a good opportunity, you will be better prepared. So when you cheat in contest, there is no point because you are not learning, you are not practicing. So please don't cheat in contest. This is a big issue nowadays. Like some you don't. You also don't give questions directly to LLMs like ChatGPT. Nowadays, the LLMs are smart. When I gave contest, LLMs weren't that smart, and I used to use LLMs to debug some code or something. But you shouldn't do it nowadays because it doesn't only debug your code; it also suggests approaches, which is not ideal, and you should avoid using LLMs. So that is it from me. If you have any doubts, you can ask it. Yes.
The full video बना लो.
So when you are given a problem, how to approach it is you try different ideas. Like when I told we have to find sum from 1 to n, I think I can use a for loop. But why is for loop not applicable here? Then I see the constants on input. If the input scales to 1 million 10 to 9, then for loop be won't be in the time limit. So you think of other approach. What other approach is there? You try different ideas, see if they work, and if they work, then you start coding. So you must have a solution before you start coding, and you must know that it should work. Because if you spend time coding on it, you are wasting your time in contest because you don't know the solution might be correct or not. So first you have to prove it, kind of prove that the solution you have thought of is optimal, and proving it is depends on the question, and you can use some mathematical. So here your mathematical background shines because in mathematics we have that approach of proving things. So when you know that kind of stuff, you can also prove your solution that this might work. So mainly for approaches, you try different things. So what she's asking is there is a question in which there is you have to find intersection of two arrays. So there are whenever you see some solution on online about some questions, like if it is on lead code, mostly they tell you to tell brute force, think of a brute force approach first, then think of an optimal solution, because it is the way you have to say it in interview as well. That tells you that you're thinking of many approaches, and also that you don't know the problem before itself. Like you're currently thinking and you have come up with the solution in the interview. That's why they tell it to think of brute force then optimal. But in competitive programming, you can directly think of optimal solution. And what she's asking is how to determine if the solution is optimal. So I have told you about two things: time complexity and space complexity. If the time complexity of the code which of the approach we are thinking of is less, and space complexity is less, then you can uh, say that the solution we thought is optimal. I don't hear. Intersection of two. There are many solutions. What one can do is for intersection, you have to. So there are two arrays. Arrays are list of numbers, and you have to find intersection. So you have to find numbers which are common in both the list. Everyone understands the question, right? So what we can do is we can keep the count of numbers in the first array. Uh, Wait, let me think. So what we can do is, first approach is we can keep the count of numbers in the first array, which numbers are there in the first array, and then when we go over the elements in the second array, if it was present in the first array, then that number will be in the intersection. So you get this. Often. Yes. Second one, we just check if that. So we will use some data structure which can keep the count of numbers in the first array. So that there is a data structure called map. You can use that. We can also use arrays if the number is small itself. Means the range of the numbers in the array is small. So ordered map if we use, then the time complexity for the operations we do in first array will be O of n. And then when we come to second array, we just check if it was present in the first array. That is also for checking it is O of 1, and for all elements it will be O of n. So it is optimal, just that we are using map, which I don't know if we can optimize. So what happens is in interview when you are being given a question. So when solving competitive programming, you don't have to think of the most optimal. You have to think of the approach which can pass the time limit, memory limit. You don't have to optimize it to the best solution. But in interview, your interviewer might ask, like, why are we using this extra map? Can we optimize it further? For that, you need to know the optimal approaches. And for that, the best way is that before your interview, you can look at some standard questions and their approaches, because sometimes the most optimal solution isn't that obvious, and you have to know it beforehand, and so that you can come up with it in interview. Because in interview there is time limit and also pressure of performing better. So if you know the solution beforehand, it's good, or else you can tell what approaches in your mind, communicate how are you thinking. That also tells that you are a good problem solver. Yes. So, yes. So in programming languages there are bitwise operators. So you must have, so those who have computer science in 11 12 might have heard about bitwise operators. The logical operators and or XOR and stuff. So given two bits, if we perform an operation on those bits, we'll get some other bit. So for example, if we perform AND, we have one bit which is set. What is set bit is that its value is 1. If the bit is not set, its value is 0. So if we have two set bits, then the answer of AND operation will be set bit. But if we have if you have 0 in any of the bits, the AND will be 0. So these are bitwise operators. And what they use is sometimes they help in calculating fast. There is also use of storing number things as bitwise operators. That is a bit complex topic and I won't go over it. And bitwise operators given in a question, how to solve a bitwise operator question is, think of, so you have a number and the number is made of many bits. So for example, 1 is just 1, 2 is 1 0, 3 is 1 1, 4 is 1 0 0. So each number is made of bits and we can represent it as a as a sequence of bits. So when you have given a bitwise question, what you have to do is think of each bit and how the doing that operation on those numbers will affect the bits. So for each bit, if we do the AND operation, XOR operation, how does it affect? So like she said, if we have a number 4, if we XOR two numbers, then the answer is 0. Like x XOR x will be 0. So why this comes is because what XOR does is, if we have same bit, like if one there is 1 1, the answer will be 0, 0 0, answer will be 0. But if the bits are different, 1 0 0 1, then the answer will be 1. So when we apply XOR on numbers, what happens is individually each bit's XOR is taken. So suppose there is 5 and 5, we have to take XOR of it. So 5 can be represented as 101 101. When we take XOR, then the XOR of 1 1 happens, which will be 0. 0 0 happens, which will be 0. As the numbers are equal, the bits will be equal and their XORs will be 0. So whenever attempting a bitwise question is, think of each bit individually and how doing some operation will affect a bit. That's how you approach it. Yes. So what I said when during the session is, you don't have to approach the problem solving topic wise. You have to solve the problems in the rating range or difficulty level. You have to pick a difficulty level and attempt problems in that level. Why is it? Because knowing the topic itself uh, will solve most of the problem for you, and how much to do in a day depends on you, how much time you have. Mostly for building good consistency, you can set a goal of solving 2 problems a day. How much time it may take. So if it takes 3 hours, then you should solve 3 hours for that day. If it takes 4 hours, then you solve 4 hours for day. But you should keep some metric like that. Like I will solve 2 problems a day, not like I have to give 3 hours. That if you are stuck in question, you'll be able to solve only one question in the 3 hour. So like that. And when so how much time to give a problem when we are solving, when to give up, when to look at solution uh, is to assume that if you are giving a contest, how much time you will have to solve that problem. Like contests are 2 hours, right? So if you give more than 2 hours to a problem, it is of no use, because anyways you won't be able to solve it in a contest, and it is most probably because you don't know something or some part is missing which you should know to solve that problem. So at that time, looking at the solution, you should look at the solution of the problem and learn the concepts behind it. Another way of approaching this is to think, if you have any approaches for the problem, keep solving it, like keep trying approaches. But if you can't think of anything, like you're completely blank on how to solve the problem, then you should look at a part of solution to get some hints and then attempt it. This is for practicing and not during the contest. During the contest, you're on your own, and if you're not able to solve it, then you will solve it after the contest. Any other questions? Yes.
What should be the approach for solving any DAC? For example, if I am solving trials DAC, so should I watch the entire video, so I should think about it and then solve it?
So you are in second year?
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is, if you have to be good in DSA, so what I will tell is, I never did data structures and algorithms. Like I didn't solve any DSA sheet till now. I haven't solved it. I just did competitive programming. Through that, I got to know about data structures, what algorithms are there. And whenever I open those sheets, the problems look really easy to me. Uh, it, they are very trivial problems and can be solved really easily. So for you, what I would suggest is, if you have time and if you don't hate competitive programming, then give 4 to 5 months to competitive programming. And before, if you have interview or test in week or in week's time, then you should go through some sheets, look at the standard problems and get to know them. That would be the better approach than solving the sheets directly, because what happens in solving those sheets is, you get to learn about the topics. Like this is the dynamic programming, this is graph, this is binary search, this is how we apply. But you don't learn when to apply that. So when given a new question, it is really hard to see if we can apply binary search on that if you haven't think of it before. If you haven't spent time thinking which topic to apply here, then it will be really hard to directly get to know that it was a binary search problem. So I will suggest that. And if you are solving sheet and how to solve it, then try to attempt it mostly on your own. And like I said, if you have no ideas and you have given enough time, then you can look at the solution. And after solving each problem, you should look at the solution to see what others have implemented, what are the other things you could have learned from that question. So your approach should be to get the maximum learning from a question. Given a question, if you could solve it, it's good. If you couldn't solve it, it is a learning experience. So, and if you were able to solve it, you should still look at others' code, solution of other people, so that you can learn the maximum. Did I answer your question? Any other?
After solving any particular data structures in sheet, how should we approach the same question on paper or some other platform?
So after you have solved particular sheet, then you might know the topic well. You might know how to apply this algorithm, how to apply this data structure. So then what you can do is you can, so there is a topic wise filter also on code forces. You can apply that so that you get to know when to apply those data structures and algorithms. I said about CSS problem set. It has really good problems which are not standard problems, a twist on standard problems. Solving those will give you much more clarity and idea about the topics you have just learned. Any other question? Yes.
What should be the first priority in DSC or web development first year?
So this is my personal opinion and a suggestion that, so what you can do after this is try competitive programming a bit, like solve 10 to 20 questions, attempt 2 or 3 contests. If give it enough time to judge it, so that you can see that it is really for you or not. Like if you are hitting to, if you don't like to do it, then there is no point. For interviews you can just prepare for DSA through sheets, because most of the times you will be asked standard questions in interview. It is the really big companies which ask difficult data structure algorithms where competitive programming shines. So that you can do. And what was your question again?
What should be the first priority first
Ah,
year in DSC?
so what I suggest is give time to competitive programming. If it is not your cup of tea, then pick another skill, explore it. But what you have to do basically is pick a skill and be really good at it. That is better than being good at many skills, because if you are good at a particular thing, then there are higher chances of you to get recognized somewhere, make connections, or land a job. So that I will suggest. If you like competitive programming, then you can continue it for 10-12 months and see how much rating you can gain. So what is a good enough rating in competitive programming? I would say it is 1500 on code forces, 1500, 1400. On if you have those ratings, you can get shortlisted in big companies. Means it is a good enough criteria to get shortlisted. It doesn't mean that if you have it, you will get shortlisted, but it is good enough to have it so that it gives you some edge above other people. To give some idea, in our college, there will be like 6 to 7 people which are above 1300, 1200 rating in code forces. So the basic rating level is 800, and the next rating range after which you will get rank up, like 1800 you are a pupil in code forces, 1200 no, 1800 you are newbie in code forces, 1200 you become pupil. So it is the next level. 1200 means next level from the beginner, and yet there are only 6 to 7 people in our college. Why is the reason? Because it takes time and not everyone knows about it. First of all, not there is not enough awareness, and it takes time. It takes consistent efforts to solve problems, gain rating. So that's why there are very few people. Was there anything left which I can answer? Did I answer your question? Any other questions? Yes.
फर्स्ट ईयर का एआईएमएल ब्रांच है, मुझे डीएसए करना चाहिए या एआईएमएल के फील्ड?
So
मतलब डीएसए के साथ जाना चाहिए या डीएसए के बिना भी हो सकता है?
So अगर आपका गोल क्या है उस पर डिपेंड करता है. If you have to become AIML researcher, pursue MS, PhD, then there is no point in that much in doing DSA. What DSA does is it introduces fundamental algorithms which are there in computer science. You get to know those algorithms and build your problem solving mind a bit. But you can do without it if your goal is to become an AIML researcher. If your goal is to land a job, you should know a bit of DSA. No? So most of the companies you will be able to perform good if you have done DSA, some sheet, and you can solve standard problems on binary search arrays, topics like that. But if you are targeting MNC companies, big companies, then there should be something differentiating you from other candidates, and that is what competitive programming gives you. It gives you a differentiating factor from other people. Hopefully that answered. So it depends on your goal, like what you want to achieve, and that upon that you can decide if you should do competitive programming or not. What I will suggest all of you is that you have plenty of time. 4 years are a lot. You can explore whatever domain you like afterwards too. Like most of the people don't start means uh, coding anything. Like they start coding from fourth sem, third sem, fourth sem, fifth sem. So there is a lot of time you can explore competitive programming for now. It really it teaches you the basic coding, like constructs in a language, problem solving approach. It teaches you. If, what I would say is, what competitive programming helped me is to build that approach, to look at things uh, in a way that will be different from others, thinking of cases which others won't think. So this fundamental thinking can be achieved by doing competitive programming. So you guys have a lot of time. Those are in first year. I will suggest you guys to try competitive programming. 2 months you can give it, and even if it feels after 2 months that it is not for you, then you can explore other domains. You have a lot of time. Any other question? Uh, so thank you everyone for listening. Okay, you have a question?
Really sorry, by the point of view of code compiling, which priority should be ours? So like compiling of speed of compiling or the minimizing the code and getting the precise answer? What should be ours?
So the number of lines of code doesn't matter in solving these questions. You can have a lot big code. It should just execute fast enough. When does line of code or good code matter is when you're working in some companies, and that is when your code will be read by some other people. They will read it to understand. That is when you should think of writing good code. In competitive programming, writing good code doesn't matter. What matters is how fast your code should execute. So that will be judged by time complexity. The topic time complexity helps you to analyze what time the code will take to execute. So
But if I have a solution and I have two types, like I can use array also and I can use for loop also, then I can use both.
So, like I said, if you get accepted on code forces, it doesn't matter after that. Uh, Mostly, uh, when to think of this thing is when there is a really big difference, and that you will get to know if you read solutions, read other codes. That is when you get to know if there is a big difference in your solution and solution in the posted by others. So it doesn't really matter. For now, just think of getting started, and uh, it is a journey you will get to learn. You will explore on yourself. So there is no set thing you should do. Just start doing things. You will explore things. Then you will encounter some doubts. Then you can approach anyone and clear those. For now, you should just get started on it. Any other doubt? Do you guys want to hear about how I applied in Google internship? So, like I said, I had done really good competitive programming, around 1,000 questions solved at that time. It was end of the second year when the opening came on the job portal. So, how competitive programming helped me here is I had solved like 1,000 questions, and I had good enough rating. At the time, I was the highest. Till now, I am the highest rated ever in the college. So what happened was a senior approached me from himself and he said that there is opening on Google. You can apply and you have best chances for it. So he helped me to build resume. So it was at the end of the second year. When second year ends, there is like 2 months like vacation after that. So he helped me build resume and so that I can showcase what I have done till now. And then I submitted in the portal. So there is for most of the big companies, they have a career site which you can see openings there where you can see internships and stuff. So this is one of the benefits of competitive programming. People know you are good and they approach you from themselves. So this helps building networks. Like I knew many of my seniors because they know I was good at competitive programming. They approached me from themselves. Then after it was June and I submitted my resume to the site. Then it took like 2 months. Like in August, I was giving a Codeship contest at that time, and I got an email from Google that I was shortlisted for interview. So in Google, after resume, there is no coding test. They directly you get shortlisted for interviews. So I left the contest from the midway and contacted my senior. How should I prepare? So first round was a simple basic telephone discussion, 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes. So what they asked was, I introduced myself to them and they cross-checked my resume. Basically, I had written coding profiles on that. So they opened that coding profiles, checked if it was real or not, tested some fundamentals like they asked me a question, how would you approach a problem, a new problem you are given, how would you rate yourself in DSA? Basically checking that the candidate which has submitted the resume is legit or not. Then after that, there were two technical rounds. Both were of 45 minutes, and there was a big gap between the technical rounds. So both the technical rounds were of the same manner. It was 45 minutes, and I had been given a DSA question to solve in it. So Google hires purely based on DSA. They don't care mostly about other things, but so the interviews were based pure on DSA. I was given a question, I solved that. Then the technical round two also I was given some questions. As I had practiced a lot of questions, it wasn't a big thing for me to solve the question. The main challenge was to communicate it better, to show them that I am a problem solver who can think different things and communicate well. So that was the big challenge. And after the two rounds were there, it concluded till September, and in October and I got the result that I was selected for internship. And my experience at internship, so it started in May, end of the May, and what I can tell you guys is it is a really good company. Like you must have seen online about the food and the office and stuff. But leaving that, the people there are also good, very smart people, and the culture there is really good. Like you won't be blamed for anything, and there is a culture of respect. Like if you meet someone in elevator, so if someone will help you on their own, and whenever they have to say things, they will say please, thank you. Such is the culture. So it was a really good experience, and if possible, then you should try because you have a lot of time. And what I expect from you guys is after college, after my college ends, if I open Code Forces site and filter by college, I should see you guys there. You guys should have good ratings, because what happens if I don't spread the awareness, then there is no culture in college, and basically the culture dies. So here my seniors helped me start competitive programming. So you can also reach out. Most of the seniors will be helpful and they'll help you to get started. So uh, if you like competitive programming, you can think of big things like uh, going to ICTC Asia finalist or world finalist, interning at some big companies. It shouldn't be a sole goal, but it can be the outcome if you pursue competitive programming. And if not competitive programming, can you get selected in Google? So for that, your resume should have some other thing which is eye-catching. Like you should, you could have done GSOC, then you will get shortlisted based on resume. Or if you have some other many hackathon wins. So there was a co-intern with me at Google. He had won like 15 hackathons, and if you go on his GitHub, there were like 150 plus repositories. So such things help you differentiate from other people and will get you shortlisted. But he also knew DSA. It's not like he didn't knew DSA. He was 3-star in Code Chef and could solve good amount of DSA problem. So for interviews, any company you sit, there will be a DSA around. So you should know DSA. But you can avoid competitive programming if you want. If you don't like it, there is no point in doing. Any questions? Can we conclude?